Well, good morning, everybody. Our first map today just kind of takes a quick look back at the system that just rolled through parts of the United States and then the beginning of the next one we're going to be talking about here. Latest updates we have from the storm system that hit parts of the lower Mississippi River Valley into the southeast is that I think we're up to an unfiltered count right now of about 50 tornado reports. Of course, there have been some injuries and fatalities from this, but in addition to that, very heavy rainfall and we had hail down here from this as well. While that system rolled through and eventually pulled into parts of the East Coast yesterday, we did want to just take a quicker look at how much snow fell on the backside of this, stretching from Colorado up into parts of Wisconsin. And the next system that came in, this one delivered quite a bit of snow as well to parts of the Pacific Northwest, and it's going to slide into California today. So let's go from here to the last 72 hours of total accumulated snowfall. I just want to show you that this swath right in through here really hit hard in parts of Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. And we're going to see some more light snow spreading from the next system across parts of the north interior of the United States. But in addition to this, just kind of a quick mention here, on the back side of this, we did see some decent lake effect snow under the very, very strong winds that came across the Great Lakes yesterday. Today, I'm in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is about right here. Beautiful city. I can't wait to come back with my family, but getting in was kind of rough given how much snow fell, for example, across parts of the Cascades in northern Washington. And the system that produced this will be sliding south, delivering up to 3 to 4 feet of snow in the Sierra Nevadas very soon. So we're going to go take a look at that in a second. But I just want to comment a bit about the winds across the Great Lakes yesterday. They were incredibly strong, and we saw lots of problems with flooding because of this. And just want to give you that snapshot of what those winds look like yesterday around that deep low that was going right toward the Hudson Bay. Well, winds are going to continue to be an issue because ahead of the next system, we're going to be watching not only major temperature fluctuations, but incredibly strong winds. They're going to switch directions very quickly, especially in the central United States. So early this morning here on Central Time, about 7:30, we could see the extent of this current front delivering quite a bit of cold air through the midsection of the country, but there's going to be some very rapid change in temperature right here. We're already starting to see evidence of that on the all hazards weather map. You can see they've got high wind warnings, wind advisories out, and on the backside of this in Colorado, stretching throughout the Pacific Northwest into California, these pinks represent winter storm warning. So we've got a very active system that's coming through, and as it ejects tomorrow into the plains after hitting California hard, we're going to be seeing extremely strong winds. So that low right now is moving here. It's going to be very quickly moving to there and then exit into Maine. It's only going to take about 40 hours to cover the whole of the United States. And you can see how strong these winds are going to be. So big high pressure cell sitting here, winds out of the south, out ahead of it, and then coming over the mountains out of the west here on the front range of the Rockies. And this sets up a very interesting situation for the plains. Whenever you get winds directly out of the west like this, they are downslope winds off the mountains. They tend to accelerate 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. They are compressionally warming as they descend in the atmosphere, and you also get incredibly dry conditions. So I showed you the temperatures a few moments ago in the Central Plains today. This is what things look like by tomorrow on Friday. So we're going to go from teens this morning in this area to low 30s, and by tomorrow the afternoon highs could be in the upper 60s and 70s in parts of Kansas. Now you can see the cold air that's kind of waiting in the wings coming out of the Canadian prairie here, and it's going to be quite cold across the west, but those downslope winds there are just going to be very dry. You can see that the relative humidities tomorrow around midday will be somewhere in this 10 to 30% range here. And in addition to that, we do have an elevated and a critical risk of wildfire given those very strong winds. Now, just to show you what this next system is going to do in terms of winds, this map is from the high-res NAM model, the 6Z run. And what it's going to show us is maximum accumulated wind gusts. And I'm just going to take this all the way out to the end of the NAM run so we can kind of see what to expect here. Now, the NAM being such a high-resolution model, oftentimes I've seen it pick up on a little bit too strong of a wind forecast, but this is in miles per hour, and what you're seeing here is that through Saturday, with the system rolling across, we'll not only see these winds in this area, possibly gusting over 50 miles an hour coming off the mountains at much, much faster speeds, but extending through the Midwest into the eastern Corn Belt and the eastern Great Lakes, more very strong wind here is expected. Remember, all of this is beginning today in California. So let's go look at it. this is this morning about 8 o'clock. There is that strong onshore flow. It has already delivered a lot of snow into the Klamath Mountains. It's now going to be pushing into the Sierra Nevada. This also extends into parts of Oregon, which is deep in drought here. So it's great to see this returning. And then right here on the northern rim of the Snake River Valley, a lot of snow. So as we play this forward, that low begins to move out late this afternoon and this evening. It's going to spread more snow right along this trajectory. See it? So this is some light snow for parts of Montana. And then once we get out here to early Friday morning, very strong pressure gradient across the country, but the flow is doing something like this, remember? So we do open up an area from Texas into the Mid-South for chances of showers, maybe a couple of embedded thunderstorms. No severe risk for these right now, but light snow will be spreading from parts of Montana and Wyoming through the Dakotas and eventually into Minnesota. You can also see on the windward side of the Rockies here, big snowfall potential is there as well. So as we work our way into Friday evening, some scattered rain to the south, snow to the north, very strong winds on the backside. To be honest with you, we might actually reach blizzard criteria here. Now remember, it doesn't take an amount of snow. It simply has to have the wind criteria, the reduction in reduction in visibility down to a quarter mile or less, lasting for at least 3 hours. So that might happen right around here. It's going to be quite nasty with these strong winds. This is Friday night. That all moves over the Great Lakes. We see more scattered showers and storms stretching right in through this area here. And then this is overnight hours getting into Saturday that clears the eastern side of the United States. And we just go back again. Next system showing up here. Now, total accumulated snow, I'm just going to use the NAM to get an idea on this. Yeah, we're looking at possibly picking up 20 to 40 inches of snow in the Sierra Nevada, some heavy snow here north of the Snake River Valley. But overall, the total snow across the northern tier of the United States continues to be less than we originally predicted about a week ago for this system. And now we're looking at widespread, maybe 1 to 5 inches in some locations here with the heaviest snow. We continue to get a little lake effect out of this as well. Now, bigger picture over the next 7 days. Systems just continue to come into California like this. So what we see here is over the next 7 days, total accumulated snowfall for the West continues to build a decent early season snowpack. But in the Midwest, these systems are not, one, they're moving quickly, two, they're not drawing on deep reservoirs of moist air, and that's why we just don't see the major snowfall happening here with these next couple of systems. I don't anticipate that to continue, but it's where things currently stand. So total precipitation over the next 7 days by the WPC. You can see what's coming into the west. We can see where the flow around this ridge right here is going to deliver more moisture into this region. And it kind of pulls into parts of New England. But there's continues to be major risk in the central United States where there is already drought pressure, major drought pressure. We expect that to continue. And in today's report, I not only include the latest updates for what we saw in the month of November, precip stats, but we also look at soil moisture in this area. It's very dry here. Take a look at the report to see that. From here, I do want to show you what the high-res European model is showing. So we've already watched this first system. There it goes. This is Friday getting into Saturday. That's the one that spreads east. We have a big high-pressure cell that moves in behind it, and the next storm system comes into the west coast. So working from Saturday into Sunday and into Monday, we're going to watch a couple of things. This system comes down. There's a high-pressure cell sitting here, a big ridge in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, so it's going to deliver some moisture into eastern Texas, into the mid-south. And by Monday, this system starts to pull out of the plains and then moves across the country. It will be timed. I'm going to move back and forth with a clipper that's going to come through the Canadian prairie here. So we kind of got flow doing something like this. But at this point, no major winter storm is expected early next week to roll through the midsection of the country. There is going to be rain out of this. It will pull into New England, but no major winter storm expected. Some of the models about a week and a half ago were suggesting that. So as we go forward, we're going to see a front that's going to linger out of that system right down here through the Carolinas back into Texas. We're going to see better rains on that front. And as we work our way out to next Wednesday and Thursday, this will be the main system I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on about a week, maybe 8 or 9 days from now. Some of the latest model runs continue to resolve this, and it's got an interesting trajectory on it and where it comes from. And all I want to stay out of this is that if we continue to see the models forecasting this, what's important about it is where it's delivering moisture. So eastern Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, very, very dry parts of the country. So we got big question marks on this. Oops, sorry, I drew that with my arrow. But you get the idea that we need to keep an eye on that particular one going forward. Now the pattern, it's kind of fascinating, but the problem with seeing a pattern like this is that it reduces predictability longer term. We're going to see the polar vortex break into two pieces, one over Siberia, one that's going to be sitting over parts of North America. We're going to be seeing the jet stream retract itself back toward Japan, not extending across the Pacific. And we see this major Greenland blocking ridge. Some will call it the negative phase of the North Atlantic Oscillation. It's all a part of the high pressure that continues to sit over the Arctic. But with a pattern like this, it's going to really tell us that to step outside of a 7 to 10 day forecast with any sort of confidence is not going to be a wise thing to do this time of year. Because it's, to be honest, in December to see such large blocking over Greenland, there's not a whole lot of precedent with that I can just draw on to say, this is what typically happens. Now, if it was February, we'd have a whole different thing to discuss here, but it's early in the winter. So what do we see? Well, if I just take the next 10 days and put them in two maps, the one over here shows us where we have the greatest risk of being drier. So it's in this area. But remember, we're watching that system about 8 days from now that could hit this region. It's drier in Florida and in the southwest. What I'm also watching is the potential for the cold air that's locked up in the Canadian prairie to get let out at times across the United States. But whenever you see such a contrast between the cold here and the warm there, the jet stream loves to run in between the two, and that's where some of the volatility is coming in the longer range forecast. So who gets the most rain out of this? Well, this is showing the systems coming into the west, giving a high probability of getting at least an inch of total accumulated precip. So there it is. And then right in through here, through parts of the Mid-South to the Tennessee Valley, this is going to be an area that brings in quite a bit of precip. I do like this simply because it does eventually drain into the Mississippi, which is still quite low. Okay, from here, quick look at temperatures. This is what we have today for high temperatures. You've already seen tomorrow. Let's go into the weekend. That's when the next big blast of cold air comes through. You can see the warmth still in the east. And then the pattern just opens back up again. Here's Sunday into Monday, so more mild air. But the next shot at colder air coming through the northern interior of the United States from Monday into Tuesday. So we've really split the country north-south on these temperature anomalies. And that's how things shape up by a week from now. The longer-term outlook suggests that as that pattern evolves, the big ridge over Greenland, we're going to see better chances at letting the cold air from the Canadian prairie advance farther to the south. It will advance not only south, but eventually end up on the east coast. And through much of the next 15 days, as that big blocking ridge develops, the western United States just maintains its cooler bias. Last thing I put in today's report is a discussion about the precipitation in South America. We have seen the models try to return better rains into Mato Grosso do Sul, which, as we reported yesterday, had been drier. As I stated, I don't anticipate yield issues with the drier weather they saw over the last 10 to 15 days. And if we do get the better rains coming in through here, I mean, this is a 10-day outlook showing 100 to 125 millimeters of rainfall. That's 4+ inches. Then that's going to return, better or lower risk on yield. The real risk is in Paraguay down into Argentina. The models just continue to put high pressure there, hot temperatures, about 5 to 8 degrees Celsius above normal, and we see drier conditions showing up. So a lot going on. Sorry, these morning minutes should be more like morning 13 minutes because when the pattern's this active and it's influencing ag, I just want to make sure I give a good treatment to it. So I appreciate you all sticking with me this fall, and now we start winter here very soon, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. Thanks.